Tonight on KGW News, a mask mandate goes statewide, frustrating some local leaders.
This one-size-fits-all approach doesn't work, nor is it fair, nor is it what we do as free Americans.
Another heat wave sets in. How long triple digits could stick around? Plus, police say new laws in Washington are making their jobs more dangerous.
I think this isn't the outcome they had hoped for.
And later,
I've had this dream since I was a kid.
two Portland singers get another shot at stardom on America's Got Talent. Good evening, I'm Laurel Porter. Thank you for joining us. Less than 2 months after Oregon lifted its indoor mask mandate, it's coming back. Today, Governor Kate Brown announced she will once again require masks in indoor public spaces. The change comes as COVID case numbers and hospitalizations soar. Catherine Cook has a reaction from those for and against the renewed mandate.
Oregon Governor Kate Brown on Tuesday announced the return of a statewide indoor mask mandate as COVID hospitalizations hit an all-time high. She promised to share more details on Wednesday, adding that state employees would need to be vaccinated by October 18th. The announcement comes a day after Multnomah County implemented its own indoor mask mandate effective Friday. It was the only county to do so since the state had left it up to individual counties to decide. The governor's about-face does not surprise Yamhill County Chair Mary Sterrett.
For instance, what happened in Multnomah County, I said, well, it's just a matter of time, any day now. We're seeing this one-size-fits-all top-down mandate. Legislature's not involved. Local government's not involved. The people are not being consulted.
Sterrett says Yamhill County had not planned on re-implementing a mask requirement. She fears the state won't stop with its renewed mandate.
What happened last time was we saw a lot of businesses shut down. Are we going to wait and see that the businesses that wound up surviving are not going to make it this time?
For doctors, the renewed mask mandate is a welcomed response to the rapid increase in hospitalizations. As of Tuesday, a record 635 people were in Oregon hospitals with COVID-19. The old record was 585 patients set in November. Of those hospitalized, 164 are in ICU beds. That's another record. As for new case numbers, the Oregon Health Authority reported 2,329 on Tuesday. That's the highest daily case count since the start of the pandemic. As the Delta variant continues to hit hard, it raises a huge concern for the unvaccinated. Looking at the numbers, OHSU data scientist Peter Graven worries cases may continue to rise until Oregon reaches herd immunity.
It's a sizable population in Oregon. I would say, we have about 1.2 million people who are still susceptible. If they all got infected at once, which is kind of what we're looking at right now, we do not have room for the share that need the hospital.
Catherine Cook, KGW News.
We are keeping a close eye tonight on the heat moving in. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri joins us now. Joe, what's the latest? How hot is it going to get?
Well, it's still going to be pretty warm, but now it looks like we're going to be dialing the temperatures down just a little bit over the next couple days. A big reason why is because of the smoke. It looks like there's going to be a little bit more thicker amount of smoke as early as tomorrow morning and into the afternoon. So here's a look at the futurecast that kind of lays out just where the smoke is going to be coming from. We have dozens of wildfires burning across the Pacific Northwest. So there's a combination of different wildfires that are going to be ushering in some of that smoke as the winds kind of change direction a little bit. But take a look at tomorrow morning, right around 9-10 o'clock. It gets from the light to the moderate category just east of Portland. Then we head into the later part of the afternoon. I have it stopped at 1 o'clock. It goes from the kind of light amount like you will be seeing tomorrow morning more into the moderate. If that's the case, our temperatures aren't going to be warming up. I still have it down as about 100 degrees, not quite record temperatures, but again, it's the smoke that's going to be playing a big factor in the forecast, not just tomorrow, but in a Thursday as well. And look at Thursday, all across the northern part of the valley, you're going to be looking at moderate to thick smoke. So because of that, our air quality could suffer a little bit, and these are all the different wildfires that are burning across our state right now. So with all that smoke coming in, it's really going to be impacting our air quality heading into the next next 24 to 48 hours and into the end of the week. Right now, it's in the good category, but you'll notice down in Southern Oregon, Medford, parts of Lakeview, you're looking at the unhealthy category because of all that thick smoke. And we're also going to be seeing some warm temperatures. Could we get into the low 100s 3 days in a row? It's looking kind of unlikely at this point. I'll talk more about that a little later on the show. Laurel, back to you.
Out of that smoke. Thank you, Joe. 211 and other organizations are working hard to prevent the same tragedies we saw from the heat back in late June. During one day of that historic and deadly heat wave, 211 wasn't open and missed about 750 calls. Lawmakers have now approved funding to keep it open 24/7. This is what CEO Dan Herman told our Galen Edlin.
We were not pleased with our experience in June. And I think collectively as a system, there was a lot of learning and a lot of improvements to be had.
What's different this time, would you say?
We're much more on point. We understand the severity, we understand the complexity, we understand the impact.
Since COVID began, 211 Info has about tripled its staff and recruited help from dozens in the National Guard. We put a number on the corner of your screen. If you text the word HEAT to 503-226-5088, we'll send you a link to all the cooling center locations and other resources to help during this heat wave. Portland is now on pace to see the most homicides it's ever seen in a year. 2 more people were killed early this morning. A warning here, we're about to play the sound of the shooting caught on a home surveillance camera. It may be hard for some to hear. Devin Haskins reports.
Listen to this. A home security camera records the volley of gunfire early Tuesday morning. The chaotic sound of flying bullets woke up the neighborhood.
It really just came close to home when it's literally outside of my door. It sounded like the gunshots are in front of my house.
Police say 2 people are dead, but they haven't said who they are. At least 3 others were injured and taken to the hospital by ambulance.
They heard the first shots, fired.
Litzy Bolano says her mom and grandma were injured in the shooting. Bolano says her mom was getting in her car earlier this morning when it happened.
She has a bullet in her arm, like towards her wristish, kind of. My grandma, she ended up getting grazed in the head with the bullet. She ended up getting some stitches of that.
More than 8 hours later, detectives were still at the scene collecting evidence. One officer tells KGW they served a search warrant on this RV, saying it was related to the shooting, but couldn't say in what capacity. 58 homicides is the most the city has seen in over 2 decades. And only 12 shy of Portland's all-time high of 70 set in 1987. Portland police say the detectives out at the 82nd Avenue shooting are the same detectives investigating the other homicides, such as the deadly shooting aboard the TriMet bus just 2 days prior. Portland police say they've increased the amount of detectives in the homicide division from 10 last year to 16 this year, and they're hoping to add more.
Just to try to keep up with the number of homicides that we're experiencing in Portland.
I hear gunshots on my street probably at least once every 2 weeks.
And while some say gunshots are nothing new, Bolano says the street she grew up on isn't the same anymore.
I can't even trust my mom walking outside to her car in the morning, without the trauma that it's going to cause afterwards. I hope people change.
In Northeast Portland, Devin Haskins, KGW News.
In Vancouver, 1 man was killed and another was critically injured in a pair of shootings. The first happened about 10:25 last night. Police say a man was gunned down in the parking lot of the Columbia View Apartments. He died in the hospital. The other shooting happened just 20 minutes later and 2 miles away at the entrance to the Thunderbird Village Apartments. Someone shot a man sitting in a car there. He was critically injured. So far, police say they don't have evidence that these 2 shootings are connected. And at this point, they haven't released any suspect or victim information. Now to get you caught up on tonight's other headlines, a grand jury decided a Salem police officer was justified in shooting and killing a man last month. The district attorney's office says Officer Nathan Bush shot the man in the front door of a home on June Avenue. The DA says Arcadio Castillo III was armed with a knife and came toward Officer Bush. That's when he fired 4 shots. Castillo's family told us he had a history of mental illness. It was his mother who called 911 for help. Portland police are looking tonight for a driver who hit and killed a pedestrian. It happened early this morning near Northeast 33rd and Broadway. The driver took off before police got there. We don't have a description of the car. According to the crash team, this is the 38th fatal traffic incident in Portland this year. And firefighters from Polk and Yamhill counties tonight are headed down to help with the Skyline Ridge Complex wildfire. It's burning in Douglas County and contains several small fires spreading across 2,000 acres. Officials expect the fire to become more active due to the heat this week, so they're proactively putting more crews in place. And now that the bootleg fire is mostly out, firefighters are able to get a better look at the burned area. This is new aerial video from Southern Oregon tonight. You'll notice the fire did not burn everything in sight. Instead, it was more of a patchwork pattern with some scorched areas surrounded by green areas. Firefighters explained the fire was more than 410,000 acres, but that doesn't mean everything inside the perimeter was destroyed. The fire is considered 98% contained, with some smoking hotspots left.